Next on the news, we are counting down to the conclave, looking at the men who will vote for the next successor of St. Peter and how their role as papal pickers and advisors has grown throughout the centuries. The youth are remembering the late Holy Father. The Diocese of Brooklyn celebrating a mass in honor of the life and legacy of Pope Francis. Plus, Bishop Robert Brennan welcomes the newest Catholics in the diocese. These men and women were recently baptized at the Easter Vigil. I'm Katie Vasquez. Currents News starts right now. The final preparations for the upcoming conclave are underway, and ahead of the gathering, we are taking a look at the men who will choose the next Holy Father. 133 red hats will take part in the proceedings. That is the largest conclave in history, and 13 more than a previously held limit Pope Paul VI informally set in 1975. Among those 133, Pope Francis has created 108 of those cardinals, roughly 80% of the voting body. The highest age group of cardinals were born in the 1950s. There are 51 of them in the voting body. Next are the red hats from the 40s, which have 48 members. Then there are the cardinals born in the 60s, which include 27 red hats. There are 6 cardinals born in the 1970s, and the youngest in the College of Cardinals was born in 1980, making him 45 years old. The year that has seen the most cardinals, 13 men who were born in 1947. Cardinals of all ages are asking for prayers of support ahead of the conclave. They acknowledge picking the next pope is a big task, one they are asking for God's help in undertaking. But they also know this is one of their prime purposes as cardinals, along with helping the next Holy Father lead the universal church. It's a position that has changed much in the last few centuries. The Pope is the leader of the universal church, but he is also the Bishop of Rome. And because of this, in early papal elections, he was chosen like bishops in other towns, from the people and clergy of the diocese. Meantime, the cardinals of the time took a back seat in church matters.
They already appear around the 5th century, but they did not have the role that they have today. They were priests or deacons from the Roman clergy who assisted the pontiff in liturgical celebrations. That is, they stood beside him during the Eucharistic celebration and had, let's say, an advisory role. But they did not have a role in governance.
Everything changed with the arrival of Pope Leo IX in 1049. The pontiff strengthened the role of the cardinal to that of a counselor rather than a liturgical assistant. He also universalized his circle of collaborators by bringing in the most capable individuals from different parts of the world, whether they were bishops, priests, deacons, or religious.
The Pope realized that he needs people at his side who are highly capable, very skilled, how could we put it, the creme de la creme, the spiritual and cultural elite of the time. So he calls upon the Umberto of Silva, the greatest canon lawyer of the era. He calls upon St. Peter Damian and Frederick of Lorraine, major figures of that period.
However, there was a legal issue. They did not belong to the clergy of Rome. To resolve this, the Pope granted them either a deaconry, church, or diocese dependent on the Eternal City. To this day, when the cardinals are given their red hats, they are still assigned a titular church in Rome. In the 11th century, the papal election process was reformed, and Pope Nicholas II decreed only cardinals could elect the next successor of St. Peter. The conclave process would undergo more reforms in the coming centuries, but cardinals have since remained at the forefront of the process to elect a new pope. The term cardinal traces back to the Latin word cardo, which means hinge. It's a reference to their importance in helping govern the church. Many Catholics currently in the Eternal City hope the Red Hats pick a pope with the same qualities as his predecessor.
It will be a great challenge because I think that Francis' closeness to all humanity must be maintained. I hope the next one keeps Pope Francis' message of peace alive.
I don't think there's any room for politics here. I think we need somebody that follows in his footsteps with the same type of belief system to make the Catholic Church all-inclusive and not turn people away.
Tens of thousands have visited Pope Francis's tomb since he was buried at the Basilica of St. Mary Major on Saturday. The Diocese of Brooklyn is still remembering the life and legacy of the late pontiff. The youth filling the pews at Blessed Sacrament Church in Cypress Hills for a mass for the late pontiff celebrated by Bishop Robert Brennan. The memorial service was organized by the diocese's Jornada movement, a Hispanic ministry that brings teens and adults together for retreats and faith building, reflections that go on to define their lives, and the Office of Youth and Young Adult Ministry. During his homily, Bishop Brennan reflected on Pope Francis's deep connection with young people, sharing words of encouragement from the Holy Father himself.
He said, you know, I want you, he told the young people, to trade in your sofas for a good pair of walking shoes. Because I want you to join me. We have to get out on the road. We've got a mission ahead of us. And we need a good pair of walking shoes because we're meant not to be on the couch, but out there in the world, bringing that gospel of Jesus Christ, bringing that message. What's the message? God so loved that he sent his only begotten so that all those who believe in him might not perish, but might have eternal life.
Bishop Brennan also read from a letter penned by Pope Francis where the late pontiff told young people to keep up their momentum in the church. Be sure to stick with Net TV. We'll be airing a live mass for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis coming up at 7 p.m. And follow Currents News at the tablet for continuing coverage of how the Diocese of Brooklyn is mourning Pope Francis and the coming conclave. Turning now to a vandal who smashed a statue of baby Jesus who was recently indicted. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz has charged Jose Rodriguez with burglary, attempted assault, and hate crime of aggravated harassment for an incident that happened at Immaculate Conception Church in Astoria in early April. Katz claims the defendant entered the church with the sole purpose of, quote, desecrating a holy institution and harassing those inside, which included smashing a statue of baby Jesus that belonged to a parishioner. Over the weekend, Bishop Robert Brennan welcomed the newest Catholics in the Diocese of Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Shepherd celebrating the Mass of the Neophytes, or someone who was recently baptized, at St. Michael's Church on Sunday. He was joined by clergy from the Flushing Church and neighboring St. John Vianney, the two parishes with the most neophytes in the diocese after the Easter Vigil. The bishop also blessed an image of Carlo Acutis as part of the parish's celebration of the Jubilee of Teenagers. A Bedford-Stuyvesant food pantry, which serves thousands of needy throughout Brooklyn and Queens every year, is honoring the dedication of its hard workers. St. John's Bread and Life celebrated its staff, supporters, and partners at the 27th annual Johnny's Angels Award Dinner, an evening that celebrates community service. The night kicked off with a welcome and opening prayer from Bishop Brennan and entertainment from students of the university's Performing Arts Department. And finally tonight, we want to welcome the newest member of the Currents News team. On Tuesday night, baby Julian Ioane Easthope was born, coming in at 8 pounds 1 ounce. Mother and baby are doing beautifully. His mom is a face you all know and love, our reporter Jessica Easthope, who has been covering news from around the Diocese of Brooklyn and beyond for the last 5 years. Congratulations to Jessica, her husband Jerome, and new big sister Violet on the newest member of the Easthope family. We are all praying for you. That is this Currents News Update. I'm Katie Vasquez. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.